What is the best Nintendo console of all time? Our picks coming up next.
Ooh.
Cue the music.
It's time for the show. What show, you ask?
Show and tell.
Hello there, Internet. I'm Steve.
Still Jesse.
And you are watching The Adventurers Guild. This is Show and Tell, and as you heard in the introductory bumper, today we are going to decide what the greatest Nintendo console of all time is.
That's exciting.
And I'm pretty sure that my pick is going to win, hands down.
You're always sure. This changes every time. I'm sure. This time I got it.
Well, if I came in and said I'm gonna lose, it wouldn't be very exciting.
No, that's true.
All right. So, welcome to the
Dungeons
video.
and Dragons.
As always, be sure to like and subscribe because it helps the channel big time. And real quick before we get started, one fast announcement: there is a poll on our focus discussion forum, guildhallforum.com. There it is, the web address. Just go ahead and go there and vote in the poll for what you think is the best Nintendo console of all time. Everyone who votes in the poll and comments in the thread is entered for a chance to win a $5 Nintendo eShop gift card.
$5.
So, now, it is time to make that determination. So many options. The original Nintendo.
Boom.
The Super Nintendo.
Super Famicom.
The Nintendo 64.
64 bits.
Indeed. The GameCube, the Wii, the Wii U, the Switch, which we play a lot here. And we have the Game Boy. The Game Boy Color. Thank you. I got confused there for a second.
Game Boy Advance.
The Game Boy Advance.
Game Boy Advance SP.
The DS. The 3DS.
The DS Lite.
No one's going to pick that
I
one.
like the DS.
Here we go. Ready? Mine is going to come out of the sky. I don't know where he's going to come from, but...
I think I'm going to pull it out of Mario's ear.
Oh, okay, hold on. Let me just grab it. I have it up here. My pick... the Super Nintendo!
What? I'm so shocked. No way.
And your pick...
Is boom! The GameCube. Always the GameCube.
It's going to be really annoying to edit it coming out of his ear.
You're figuring
Thanks
it out.
for the CGI enjoyment I'm going to have tonight editing that in.
Good luck, buddy.
What did you pick?
GameCube.
Oh, right. I was really busy thinking about it coming out of his ear.
You know, when you suggested this, I said, everybody's going to know. I talk about how much I love the GameCube all the time.
Have I ever mentioned the Super Nintendo on this channel?
Yes, you have.
Darn it, you're right, I have.
You
Okay.
love your Super Nintendo.
So, who...
Me and Steve actually stayed in line overnight for the SNES Classic.
That's true. At Walmart, we nerded out and hung out in line and sang some songs.
Almost got kicked out.
Almost got kicked out. That's true. Because what was the whole thing with the sitting, right?
Yeah.
Some weird thing with they said we couldn't sit, which is, I don't know. Don't get me started. That's another video. Thanks a lot, Walmart. Not sponsored by them, by the way. All right. So who wants to go first? You or me?
You know, I'll let you go first. You've been going first. I've been going first lately.
The Super Nintendo Entertainment System, released as the Super Famicom in Japan on November 21st, 1990, and September 9th, 1991 in the USA, and then sometime in 92 in the UK, and blah, blah, blah. Who cares about that? Ushered in the 16-bit... Actually, no, it didn't usher in 16-bit era. It did not usher in the 16-bit era. The Genesis did that.
Yes, it did.
But it brought validity to the 16-bit era because when it came onto the scene... Boom! Was it awesome? And I don't want to hear any of this crap about Genesis does what Nintendo don't. Okay? I had a Genesis, alright? I also had a Super Nintendo. And boy, oh boy.
Rich kid, jeez.
I would just... Actually, I saved up allowance money to buy the Genesis. And I got the the Super Nintendo as a gift.
I got the Sega Genesis as a gift saved up for the Super Nintendo.
So, yes, I know the Genesis, blah, blah, blah. You know, it had Mortal Kombat with the real blood, with the blood code, and it had the more edgy games. But look, the Super Nintendo, if you like role-playing games, specifically JRPGs, to this day, that is the JRPG system, the best JRPG system of all time. Super Mario RPG, Final Fantasy, numerous ones, Secret of Mana, Chrono Trigger, I mean, the list goes on and on and on about how many amazing RPGs are on that system.
Dragon Quest.
Let's not even talk about just RPGs. The system in general, from a sheer technical standpoint, is superior. And this isn't a Nintendo versus Genesis type of a thing. This is the best Nintendo console. But since we're comparing, obviously, the direct competition is the Genesis. Comparing them head to head, for example, the Super Nintendo had better graphics. The Super Nintendo had a comically superior audio device. That 8-channel audio on the Super Nintendo was glorious. Compare one game on the SNES to the same game on the Genesis side by side, just to give you an idea of the superior audio. It had crazy graphics capabilities like Mode 7, where it did like a faux 3D effect for games like Star Fox, and I wrote some of them down because I can't remember. Super Mario Kart, Pilot Wings. Granted, now it looks ridiculously bad, but back then, remember the first time you booted up Super Mario Kart?
Yeah, I thought
how
it was
amazing
insane.
it looked. The 3D was so realistic at the time; it was unbelievable.
I remember playing that and thinking, one, it looked just like a cartoon, and two, it was like my brain couldn't comprehend how it wasn't going forward.
I know.
It's so weird.
Just turn that off.
Somebody's foot was heating up.
Got a heater down here.
It was hot-footed.
It's hot. So, the argument could be made that the original Nintendo was potentially the game changer for the console industry, because
we can say it saved the console industry.
This is true. I mean, you had your Ataris and your things like that, and then there was the whole video game crash and whatever, and then Nintendo jumped in and they were like, we're just going to single-handedly rescue everyone. We're going to rescue this industry with an amazing system that has amazing graphics and this, that, and the other. But there was something about the Super Nintendo that you almost can't even put into words. Just the care that was put into those games, the sheer quality of the console. I got Super Mario World as the launch title. That when people think of the Super Nintendo, a lot of people think of Super Mario World because it's the quintessential Mario or Super Nintendo game. That game, it's so bright and vivid and beautiful. It's got the funny parallax scrolling when you run, and the background moves at a different speed as the foreground. Mm-hmm. The gameplay is perfect. It's rock solid. And when that's the first thing you play on the Super Nintendo, which again for most people it was, it just gives you this, oh my god, what I'm playing is unreal. It's just the next level and beyond. And then you had the other launch title of things like F-Zero, which, again, with the Mode 7, how incredible it was. Two very different games, but two fantastic games nonetheless.
I know, he's getting
the whole entire library of the Super Nintendo. There's turds in the bunch, just like there is with every console.
Shaq Fu was amazing.
But, I mean, there's so many games that even in the year 2020, people still look back on fondly. And you can't say that with a lot of consoles because, going back to the Genesis, you have a few fond games in there. You have your Sonics and things like that, and you have your niche type of product in there. But yeah, sure.
Power Up.
Comics Zone, or is that
Comic Zone?
Yeah, Comic Zone, right? No, I think it was Comics because it had an X. Well, whatever, regardless. But then you just compare that to the glory that was the Super Nintendo. Boy, am I fanboying right now.
Yeah.
But there's just countless game after game after game. And, so I guess you could say my pick is the Super Nintendo because the publishers and the developers that backed it up had such strong releases then. But if you look at the hardware, at the time it was amazing as well. It's funny because they had the better hardware. And Nintendo typically is not known for having the best hardware. Look at the Wii versus the 360 or the PlayStation 3. Obviously they have the worst hardware. With the Switch, they have the worst hardware. But Nintendo, they don't care, at least not anymore, about hardware. They care about the fun. And for my money, the Super Nintendo, to this day, delivers the most fun I've ever had. So, giddy up, beat that, buddy.
Oh, that was cute. Be careful, your nerd is showing.
It is. It certainly is.
Let me take you back to 2001. All right, and it was a simple year. Like he said, there was a powerful PlayStation 2, and then Microsoft came out of nowhere with this Xbox, the game changer. By the way, how's the Xbox One selling? No, not
Let's
the point.
find out in November and see how the Series X sells.
Woo! But then Nintendo, always got to be different, announced a little project called Project Dolphin, and then it came out that they were doing mini disc. What are they doing? And outproduced this GameCube. It's exactly what it was. It was a GameCube. It's an adorable box, 2001. Even had a handle because you could bring it to your
One could
friends'
almost say the original portable home console because it had a handle. You couldn't play it off the not plugged in, but you could carry that puppy around. And boy, did you, for LAN parties or Super Smash and things like that. This is him, not me, so I'm going to let you go again.
Thank you. Anyway, so we want to talk about specs. It was probably, like Steve said, the weakest out of the three systems.
The Xbox was by far the most powerful.
Yeah, but what was amazing about it was what they could do with the actual system. If you look at Resident Evil 4, which was exclusively released on that, or Resident Evil 0, or Resident Evil 1's remake, they were beautiful games. Metal Gear Solid Twin Snakes re-released on that. That was another great game. Exclusive to the GameCube. It was a beautiful game. So the hardware they did have, and they pushed that thing to its little limit. Those little tiny discs. Oh, they were so exciting. And that controller, I don't care what anybody says, the most comfortable thing in your hand of all times. But since we're talking about game lineup, Super Mario Sunshine, still my favorite Mario of all times. Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, Legend of Zelda Four Swords, Legend of Zelda Collection, which came with the original Legend of Zelda, Legend of Zelda 2, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask on one disc. Steve, have we ever got that again?
No.
No! GameCube gave it to us.
But one game can't be defining, even though I just sold Super Mario World as console defining.
Gave us that. I mean, it was a ridiculous number again. Let me pop this up because I have it here. Super Smash Brothers Melee, which is arguably the best Super Smash Brothers. People still talk about it to this day. Mario Kart
Competitive wise, it's by far, without a doubt, the most competitive.
Mario Kart Double Dash.
Not on purpose, though.
People love it so much that they brought it back for the Switch, the 2 items.
Not two riders, though.
Not 2 riders. They should have. The last good Paper Mario, in my opinion.
I will agree with that.
1,000 Year Door.
Yeah, because they're not RPGs anymore. They're practically platformers.
Yes. The only console where you can get, at the time, every single Resident Evil game. They re-released 1, 2, 3, 4, all, and Code Veronica, all on that system.
So you're saying the game library is superior to the Super Nintendo's?
Absolutely. Pokemon XD, Metroid Prime 2, Metroid Prime 3. Tell me those Metroid Prime games were amazing.
Oh, Metroid Prime the Metroid Prime trilogy is insane. It's absolutely incredible.
Sonic Adventures 1, Sonic Adventures 2 re-released. Mario Kirby Air Ride. I don't know why I brought that one up. Fire Emblem.
You win!
Yes.
Good job, Kirby!
Just the lineup of those games are amazing. But let's say you got bored of that somehow. You got bored of all those games, but you had a Game Boy Advance.
This is
Hook
cool.
that sucker right into your GameCube, and now you're playing Game Boy Advance games.
Now you're playing with power.
On
Nintendo
the big
power.
screen. I'm talking about Link's Awakening. I'm talking about Fire Emblems. I'm talking about Advance Wars. These games that you would never be able to play on the TV all of a sudden on your big
The
screen.
Super Nintendo had the same thing for the Game Boy, and it made the games color. So, how about that?
But you know what the Super Nintendo didn't have? Let's say I was playing Legend of Zelda Four Swords. I could hook up my Game Boy Advance and have the dungeons down here and have the gameplay on the screen.
Oh. But you mentioned controllers, how amazing, how comfortable it is. The Super Nintendo controller was genre defining as far as the comfort, the fact that it invented shoulder buttons. It had the perfect, to this day, undisputable, perfect D-pad. It had the 4 face buttons. Nobody ever did that before.
See, I thought...
Shoulder buttons, baby!
I thought you were going to mention that, Steve. I thought you were going to mention that.
I forgot until you mentioned your dumb thing about the comfort.
What was funny about that was, you're right, the Super Nintendo was great, but they also released 2 versions of their controller. 2 versions of their controller.
What?
When they re-released the Super Nintendo, they had an upgraded version with a longer cord. Because the original cord was too short. You know who never had to do that? Had one perfect controller.
You're seriously talking about cord length? Cord length?
From launch.
First of all, I'm not even sure that's accurate. I'm not sure that's even accurate.
It's a re-release controller.
And second of all, cord length.
From launch.
We're going to have a length pissing contest
That's what
on
we're
this
doing.
episode of
That's
Show
what
and
we're
Tell? Really?
from launch, the perfect controller. GameCube.
I thought you were going to say something like the original NES was all pointy and hurt, but then they had the dog bone come out. That's a re-release of a controller. Or the with the original Xbox, you had the
the giant
one?
one?
What was it called?
The UFO?
No, what would they call that thing? The Duke. And then they made like the nice S version. You're talking about cord length. Seriously.
I'm going to take this home with one simple game, then.
It's like Allen Iverson, just talking about practice. You're talking about cord length.
We're going to take this home with one simple thing, though. At the end of the day, if you remember this, because you're a fanboy, quote unquote, every single system at the time got a Soul Calibur game. Remember that? One released for PlayStation, one released for Xbox, one released for Nintendo.
I swear, if you were going to say it's the best choice because Link was in Soul Calibur,
So,
I am throwing you out of the
take
basement.
this. Xbox got Spawn. A comic book character, Todd McFarlane, forgettable. PlayStation got Heihachi. But Soul Calibur on the Nintendo GameCube got the best Soul Calibur character
He's right about
of
this.
all time, Link, who was unbeatable in that game. If you can get me another system where I can play Link and Soul Calibur, tell me, because there isn't. It's just the GameCube, baby. It's the GameCube.
Can we vote
Give me a system
Johnny Cord
with
Length?
a handle. GameCube. God, I love you, GameCube.
All right,
You still have your original Super Nintendo?
I do.
So do I.
Yes.
But you know what else I have? My original GameCube.
So I have a few GameCubes actually because I'm weird. All right, let's vote.
All right.
You want to vote first or me? I'll vote first because everyone knows what I'm going to pick. Okay, my pick for best, or out of these two, you know, the head-to-head here, is, without a doubt, the system with the inferior cord length. Supposedly, I'm still not convinced that's right, but my pick is the king of the 16-bit era, the king of my heart. That sounded weird. Mm-hmm. The love that I will forever hold dear, the Super Nintendo, the 16-bit awesomeness. Mwah.
Wah, wah.
God.
And,
Just gonna pick GameCube.
of course,
Gonna pick GameCube.
the system that still has my heart. So I will not only say is the best Nintendo console, but the best console that was ever released. Beautiful Joe. Beautiful Joe will always be my GameCube.
I love the GameCube.
Beautiful
Don't
Joe.
get me wrong.
Beautiful
I love
Joe.
it. Love it. But it's comical to say that it's better than the Super Nintendo.
It is not.
Like
I could take
comical.
a handle off of mine and smash your Super Nintendo.
Nobody cares about your stupid handle.
Everybody cares about the handle.
Actually, the handle was cool. All right.
Well, we will
Well-
say this on a positive note about both.
I dropped my pen.
Nintendo makes their systems to last because, like I said, I still have my original GameCube. I'm talking about my Purple Boy first release. That thing still runs beautifully.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what that means. It's been a little while since this happened, but it's a tie. Which means we're taking it unofficially to the comment section, but officially, now the poll on guildhallforum.com is even more important. Because now, not only do you get to vote for which system is superior in your opinion of all of the Nintendo systems, but I can prove to Jesse once and for all that the Super Nintendo is better than GameCube when that bar is way longer than the short one on the GameCube.
Nope.
All right, guys. I think that'll about do it for this episode of Show and Tell. Don't forget to check out our Patreon, check out our Teespring store, like and subscribe on the video. For the Adventurers Guild, I'm Steve.
And still loving GameCube, Jesse.
This has been Show and Tell. We will see you next time.